All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Mic'd Up Outdoor Podcast. I am your host, Josh Tanner, and today is July 7th. And when you guys hear this, it might be closer to the 10th. So, anyway, today I am having a guest with me, a friend of mine by the name of Marcus Garner. He is a guide here in the state of Michigan, bear guide. And he is a houndsman. Houndsman, is that how you would explain
That's how we call ourselves.
That's how we call yourselves. Okay, houndsman. So last week I had on Pat Allard and Jeff Emery. And those guys, Jeff obviously was not seasoned. Yeah, not a seasoned bear hunter. Pat, he's been doing it for a while, but those guys were more stand hunters, bait hunters.
Still hunters, yeah.
Still hunters.
Yep.
You are a houndsman. You're a dog
yes.
runner.
Yep.
So anyway, thanks for coming on,
hey,
man. I
appreciate it, man.
Yeah. So the name of your guide service is Blue Plague Guide Service.
Yep.
You're mainly a bear hunter and a cat hunter.
And bobcats.
Bobcat
Yep.
hunter in the state of Michigan.
Yep.
Okay. All right. And you run specific dogs.
Yeah, there's 6 different breeds of big game hounds.
Okay.
There's black and tans, plots, blue ticks, treen walkers, and English dogs.
Okay.
Everywhere's different, but Michigan, majority of guys are going to run treen walkers and plots. It's really huge. I run blue ticks, and there's a lot of guys in the state that do.
Yeah.
And really, it doesn't matter. There's good dogs in all breeds. I just like something a little different. So.
Right. Yeah.
That's what we run.
So how long have you been doing this for?
So I hate to give up the age, but
yeah, give us some backstory to your whole journey.
Well, I'll tell you, I just turned 35 a couple days ago,
yes,
and
sir.
I had my first hound when I was about 13. I started coon hunting.
Okay.
But to give the backstory, so I'm only from about an hour away, Blanchard, and I didn't grow up in a hunting family. My uncles did, but when I was young, I really didn't know that they did.
Right.
So my dad never even deer hunted, didn't do none of that. We grew up on a farm. But what got me into the dogs is, man, I couldn't have been maybe 9 and down in the barn feeding cows one day with Grandpa, and there was a coon in there. Well, we'd end up setting a trap, and we caught the coon. And my dad goes, well, I know a guy just down the road a ways. He'll want that coon. And so we pull into this guy's driveway, and he was a black and tan guy. A black and tan coon hound. His name was Bruce Carlson. We pull in, and them dogs lit up just out of the fact.
They knew you had a raccoon.
Not even that. Just a vehicle pulling.
Oh, okay.
But it didn't matter. They sounded like they knew we had one.
Right.
And just hearing them dogs, I was just like, man, I got to do that.
How many did he have?
He had 4.
Okay.
And at this time, he was an older guy. He was probably, he had to be in his 60s. And it was in the middle of summer. It was probably June, maybe.
Yeah.
And there's a season when there's a quiet time for coons and bears you can't run. It's from like April 15th it used to be April 15th to July 15th. It's changed just a little bit, but we were in that quiet time. And my dad told him, he said, hey, the kid wants to go. He's like, well, we really can't right now, but, and he's a little young, and I was, I've been hard because coon hunting at night. You gotta have a light and
after
tromping
dark.
through tromping through the brush. So he goes, bring him back in a few years, and I'll take him.
Sure.
And I never forgot that. And it was 2 or 3 years. We went
was
back.
The start.
Yep, we went back. I hadn't even went yet though.
Yeah.
So we went back, and he kept his promise. He took me, and I was
you were ate up with it.
And coon hunting's a lot different than bears, where coon hunting is free casting. So you'll go to a wood lot or cornfield.
Yeah.
You just drop tailgate and you turn dogs loose, and they go and do the hunting.
Right.
Where bears, we either make the bears come to us or we go find a track and we turn. So anyways, that hooked me. So I coon hunted all through high school, every night.
Yeah.
Get home in time, go to school. And then I was probably about 16, just turned when I could, actually no, I was 15 when I went bear hunting for the first time, when you could just on your learner's permit. Well, my dad never done nothing with
He wasn't
dogs.
anything like that.
But he turned into one because I made him go, because the only way I could go and drive was I had to
feed
have
him.
somebody
Yeah.
old enough. So
Yeah.
we headed to Paradise, and that was one of the first hunts I'd been on. But I didn't have a dog that would catch a bear out of, even
Really?
run a bear in a paper bag at this time, young.
What did you have at that?
My coon dogs.
Okay.
That I coon hunted
Okay.
with, that, and you can run bears with coon dogs,
Right.
but guys that are serious about it really don't, because, the last thing you want to do is walk into a swamp to a treed coon 2
Right.
miles in or something.
Yeah.
So-
If you were hunting bears.
yeah.
Oh,
So,
I couldn't
and
even imagine.
when you got baits out, the coons are coming to the
Yeah.
baits, and so it's just. But anyways, a lot of guys do that. Back in the day, they did, and so that was one of the first bear hunts. And then as that time went on, I got with a group of guys that hunted in Paradise, and we would run bears and catch bears, and
So you were going up there on the weekends, or
yeah.
just
Yep, on the
whenever?
weekend. So
Okay.
it starts in September.
Yep.
And we can get to the dates, but we'd go up on the weekends, and you might only get 5 or 6 weekends to hunt.
Yeah.
But man, it was the world to me just listening to them dogs driving.
Yeah.
But so I did that, and then right as I got out of high school and was in college,
Yep.
friends of mine from the Mount Pleasant area was buying a dog from this man. Lived over on the other side of Escanaba.
Okay.
His name was John Ray, and I rode with him. And this was by far the first time I seen dogs the real thing.
Yeah.
Like, this is how it's supposed to be done.
Right. Right.
We were just
You were
we were
just-
just tipping our toe in the
Yeah.
water. I mean, this is how it.
Yeah.
This boy. I mean, at this time, this guy was in his late 60s too. He'd been
Yeah.
doing it for 40 years, so
Yeah.
he had it kind of figured out.
He had his dogs
and he
dialed.
had blue ticks.
Yeah.
But they look like a blue tick.
Yep.
They got the color, they got everything, but they had a little more hair than what a normal blue tick. So
Yeah.
what these are called is just grade dogs, we call them.
Okay.
We don't have papers on them.
Sure.
None, because papers come when you want to sell dogs and do that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But if you're just in it to
Just to
catch and
hunt.
game,
Yeah,
I mean, the
just to
papers don't
hunt.
mean nothing. So
Yeah.
I bought a dog from him, 6-month-old, and that was my first real dog.
Yeah.
And that got me into the blue ticks,
Yeah.
what we have today.
Yeah. That's crazy. What? So I mean, I know we've talked in the past. You were a bit of an athlete. You were a baseball player.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh,
this
yeah.
definitely did not go hand in hand
No,
with playing baseball.
It didn't, because I played college ball, and we're in the fall. It's we still have fall ball,
Right.
so yeah, those are on weekends too. So
Yeah.
you had to pick.
You had to pick your.
And
make
when
a
it come
choice.
down to it, I had a chance after college to go and actually play.
Yeah.
In Texas and some other places. Had some really good offers. Looking back, everybody tells you,
yeah.
do it now, because you can always hunt.
Right.
Man, I had the fever though.
Yeah.
I had the fever.
You couldn't. Yeah. No, and I get
And
that way too.
You know what I mean?
Like,
And
you just
I don't. I regret it, but I don't.
don't. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Because I mean, look at all the time that you spent in the woods and with
Exactly.
dogs and
Yep.
stuff. So
Yep.
so you've been like explain a blue tick to me, because a blue tick is not. They're not blue in color.
They're not. No, to an extent. I mean, most people that are listening are probably gonna know what a blue heeler looks like.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is what a blue tick somewhat looks like.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
they're kind of a dark, smoky gray.
Yeah.
And they come in. There's a real fine line when you get some of them that get a lot of white on them.
Yeah.
Those are still blue ticks, but they can also be considered an English dog too, because
Right.
English dogs are kind of colored like that. So a blue tick will have some white on him, but very hint. Mm-hmm. It'll be real smoky colored, and actually be little, like, dark enough gray that they kind of look bluish ticks on 'em.
Yeah. Yeah.
Their heads will be black,
Okay.
with a little bit of brown on their muzzle.
Yeah. And they're kind of a gangly dog. They're not. I mean, they're not super stocky or
No,
They're
but you could get some. Just every cross is different. But you can get some that are like a blockier built dog,
Okay.
where their heads are pretty good size, and
Yeah.
some are short legged. The stock that I run, we all call it Ray bred dogs, and why they're great is they got a little bit of some other stuff in them, so they're a little leggier, they're taller than what like a registered 100%.
Did he breed those dogs to kind of get to a certain stature?
He bred those dogs to get what it took, what he needed to
to
catch
do what
bears.
he wanted to do. Yeah.
Yep, and some of them go back to, and nobody will know this but a hound guy, but some guys out of, used to hunt Mexico, New Mexico, but they were the Lee brothers.
Okay.
Some real famous guides out there. There
Okay.
was a group of brothers. They've got some books and stuff written out, but he bought a female from them,
Oh.
when he was probably 30. So
Was he a guide up there? Or
he
was
did. He
was?
did. So
Yeah.
John Ray was originally from Lower Michigan,
Okay.
Jackson area.
Okay.
Owned a concrete business. He moved up there in 2000,
Okay.
but he'd always hunted there. His dad was a hunter too, but he moved up there permanently in 2000. And then I met him, and matter of fact, I lived with him for a long time, but I met him about 2009.
So he was kind of your
When it comes to
mentor, so to speak.
I mean, I learned a
teacher.
lot about dogs and training from Bruce, the guy that originally started me coon hunting, on what to do with young dogs and, to have patience with them and stuff like that. But when it comes to the big game side and actually, like, I say how to catch game, definitely from John.
Yeah.
I mean, I learned
a ton.
pile from him.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was all up in the UP at that point.
That was all in the UP, yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've had your outfit for how long now?
So I've been, I always guided then with him when I hunted, because I lived up there for a stint.
Yep.
And but on my own since about 2012 to 13.
Okay.
I had it where I was taking guys, that were booked through me.
So you had to there was no do you have to have a license, an outfitter license or something? Or
yep, through the state.
Like if a guy wanted to get into it.
Yep, through the state on state ground. It's just that you just apply for it online.
Okay.
And it's free of charge.
Okay.
Now, if you want to go on national forest, you have to be licensed and bonded, but all of mine is done on state. So, but yeah, you still have to have that and, have all your paperwork.
So, I mean, it's got to be legit. It's
got to be legit.
Because, people can get hurt.
100%.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys, I haven't for bears, but I do have some that I'll have them sign waivers and stuff like that. And a lot of guys do that because, I mean, you got to, you just never know what's going to happen.
You don't know the people you're dealing with.
And most of the time, the people that do come on these hunts are first timers.
Yeah.
I do a lot of repeats, but I mean, the ones that you are worried about hurting themselves are the first timers.
Yeah. Yeah. And is it primarily Michigan?
Well, yes, but every year I get 2 to 3 that are non-residents. It's just harder to draw a tag because Michigan's a draw.
Yeah.
It's not over the counter. And for non-residents, it always hovered around 5 years to pull a tag. Some are less, some are more, but I think the non-residents only get like 5%.
Really?
In the hat. Yeah, it's not very much.
But it's different. It's different from unit to unit throughout Michigan. What is there down here? There's Red Oak. There's Baldwin unit.
Gladwin.
There's Gladwin unit.
Yep. So
is each unit takes a certain amount of points.
Correct.
To draw a tag.
Correct. And then within each unit, there's 3 different hunts. So you have the first hunt, which is your still hunters, what we call them, or bait hunters.
Yeah.
And it's quiet time. You can't have any. Actually, matter of fact, before that starts, there's 5 days or something. You can't even run your dogs.
Okay.
Just to give them a fair chance.
Gives them a fair chance.
So that's the hardest one to draw.
Okay.
On points. Every unit that has that hunt, that's going to be the highest points. Probably the average is 4.
Yeah.
So it'll take you 4 years to draw that tag.
Right.
And then the second hunt, which is the first dog hunt, that one is still average, probably 2 points to draw. And then in any unit, so probably more down here though.
Okay.
But then the third hunt's going to be the easiest, but still, I couple of the units that I hunt, it's 0 to 1, which is nice.
Right.
There's some other units that's 2 to 3. Here in the lower, the Baldwin unit, that's 13.
I was going to say my
points.
brother got a Baldwin tag, and I swear it was at least 10 to 15 points he had before he pulled that. That's years.
Yes, that's what points are. Is years.
Yeah.
And if you go 2 years and forget to do them points,
you lose them.
You lose them.
You do lose
You
them?
lose them after 2 years.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So even if it's, and that's what a lot of guys will call, and it'd be like, hey, I'm looking to go on a hunt, but it's going to be, I'm just down the road, just checking.
Yep.
And I'll be like, okay, well, then what you want to do is just apply for a point. 'Cause
Right.
You have the option,
Yep.
point or tag.
Yep.
If you're not ready to, and even if you
Yeah.
have no points, there's always a chance you
Just
can
keep
draw.
putting in.
So
Yeah.
just put in for your point
Yeah.
because I've had a couple guys that have done the tag, but they weren't ready to go that.
Right.
Well, then now all of a sudden we got to go because you
They
got a
got a
tag,
Yeah.
You might
'Cause,
not get one the following year.
Right. Yeah. You pull a tag or you put in for a tag and get it.
Yep. But
You got to go.
And I haven't figured it out. Everything is different because I had one guy, he was originally from Maine and he moved here to Michigan and really good dude from the thumb. 8 years in a row with me, he drew a tag
smokes.
and killed a bear with me. I mean, I don't hear that very much.
And that's in the UP.
That's
though.
in the UP.
So the
in a
UP
third unit where
Yeah.
it's 0 to 1, but still,
It's not. It's common to
it's
pull
not
eight
not
in a row.
not in a row, not in a
Yeah.
row.
So why is it that, like, say, a Baldwin unit takes so many points to get, whereas a UP unit takes 1 to 2?
Well, and even like the red oak is like 7 to 9 or something.
Yeah.
And what it is it's just the volume of hunters that are hunting those.
Okay.
So, people that don't want to travel
Sure.
and because there's a lot of time and effort that goes into
yeah.
doing this.
Yeah.
So they're going to hunt in the lower. They want to try and hunt in the lower.
Sure.
Well, there's for ones, there's more people that live down here.
Yep.
So you have more, like, especially the Baldwin is majority of the Baldwin where it's good hunting is private.
Right.
So you have to go get permission, do all that whole number. But that's why that is such a long time to draw a tag is because of the volume of guys. I mean, if they give a tag like they do in the UP to everybody down here, I mean, they'd wipe them out.
Yeah.
And but they have upped the tags in Baldwin the last 3 years. But that's the majority point. And so the further west you go in the UP, the easier it is to draw a tag because there's less volume of people hunting it.
Okay, that makes sense. I was thinking maybe Baldwin unit it took longer because maybe it was like a trophy unit.
And it has been only because, of the number of bears they only allow you to take.
Okay.
So that's what.
that makes sense.
Plus the private
Yeah.
allows bears to be in places where guys can't get to them. I mean, I know a guy last year for opening day of dog hunting. I mean, they killed 2 that was over 500.
Wow.
But that can happen there because those bears have been able to live longer.
Right.
And just like when you go across the bridge, the first unit you come to is the Newberry unit, which is the largest in the UP.
Right.
But that, guys that are from Grand Rapids or south of us here, I mean, that's 4 hours to get up there. So that they don't want to go no further.
Right.
So they're going to go across the bridge, and all that country is real sandy country.
Yeah.
So you really don't have to put in the money and the time to go and bait. You can just check roads. So it's cost efficient, but you get the volume of hunters is tripled than units further west.
Right.
So that's why that's the hardest unit in the UP to draw besides Drummond Island, of course.
Right. Is it? Oh, I lost my train of thought for a minute. I'm just getting back on these using. How big is a unit? Are they different sizes?
They are different
each
sizes. They are different sizes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And I don't think there's a rhyme or reason on.
What's the biggest?
Well, the biggest, I think we'd have to look at a map.
Yeah.
But I think it's Newberry.
Is it?
Because the Newberry goes all the way to like Rudyard and all that furthest to the
all
east.
the east. Yep.
And it goes all the way to Highway 13, which is plumb over on the other side of Manistee. If anybody looks at a map, it's
Top
quite a
to-
way.
top to bottom?
Top to bottom.
Damn.
So it
that
goes
is
all the way
big.
up into Paradise and Grand Marais
Okay.
and like the Sini Refuge.
Yeah,
that's all in it.
Covering a
That's all in
big
it.
area. Yeah. So yeah, like a Baldwin unit is not that big in comparison to that. So interesting.
Or a
Interesting.
Gladwin, really.
Yeah, Gladwin unit's
Small.
big too. So,
Yeah.
are you seeing more and more bears over the say last 5 years? It seems to me like people are seeing more.
People are.
But maybe it's just because we got freaking phones and
Well,
cameras.
and it is, and everybody, when they see, nowadays everything's on the phone. But
Right.
me personally, just driving down the road,
Yeah.
maybe one a summer. But you're getting a lot more sightings, and you're getting a lot more knocked over bird feeders and stuff like that. And like these bears that are south of us that people are seeing, in my opinion, are young boars. Now you get the occasional sow with their cubs, but they're young boars that are getting kicked out of, what
Whatever
we call
area.
bear country.
Yeah.
From Clare North and they're getting kicked out by the big boars, so they're going and getting their own territory. That's why we're seeing them in farm country,
right? Yeah. Like my brother, he just sent me a picture. He lives over in the Harrietta, which would be Baldwin unit, correct? He sent me a picture on his property of a big old bear. I'll have to show it to you with a fawn in its mouth.
Oh yeah.
I mean, bears do a lot of damage.
They do,
don't they? I mean,
way more than what people
think.
Way
more than what people think. Because I hear more and more about like predators for fawns, and people are like, oh, it's a coyotes, and I'm like, I feel like the bears are every bit as much.
They are, and really, I mean, everybody's watched on National Geographic. Bears can catch full-grown deer,
sure,
but the majority of the deer that bears are going to get are this time they're going to get
fawns.
They're going to get spring fawns.
Yeah, because they're coming out of hibernation, right?
Yep. They'll come out, and everywhere's different. Probably when you get up in the Keweenaw, it's going to be a little bit later, but there's really no set date.
Right.
I mean, I've seen when it comes time for them to go to bed, I've seen them as late January and February, still the young ones still out wandering around.
Really.
But I've seen them come out usually. If it warms up like at the end of March, first part of April, you'll get some that are moving. But pretty much in April, that's when they're going to come out and start. Their breeding season starts in June.
Yeah.
So they're definitely out, by then. And then they'll go into July and catch some of, just like deer, they'll catch some of them late stragglers that are still in bear estrus.
What's like the gestation for a sow to have cubs? How long does it take once she's bred? So she's bred.
Let's say she gets bred in June.
She gets bred. Okay, that's when they breed in June.
She's going to go all summer. She's going to go into her den. Let's just say it's late October. She goes into the den.
Okay, that early then.
Oh yeah. Yep. And then I got a story about the dens, but it'll be late October. Let's say. First part of November. Just depends on the weather too, but they really have an internal clock. It doesn't. The weather doesn't really dictate that I've seen. So they'll go in, and usually like January, February, because there'll be some I've known some guys that went with the biologist in March. Okay. And got into the dens and trying to tag some. Yep. And the buggers are just this big.
So they're having the cubs while they were in hibernation.
Yes.
So they'll just get up, have the cubs.
They don't even get up. They just
have them.
Yep. And it's just
and they're just feeding them with milk. Milk, and there's no going out and getting food.
And they have cubs every other year.
Is it what's common? 1, 2,
2 is
3?
Common.
Okay.
3 is good, but 2 is it's just 2 is what you're going to get most of the time.
How old? What's the average age of a bear?
Well, in in Baldwin's going to be a little different, but let's just in Michigan, it's probably the average that guys are killing bait in dog guys. I mean, 3 years is probably pushing it.
Okay, so similar to deer.
Yep.
3 years. A good one is 3 years. Yep. How big's a 3-year-old?
So just depends on
the area,
what he's done and
what he's eating.
Like I would say if he's in the lower Michigan where he's going to get a little more corn to him, he's definitely going to be a little bit bigger.
Right.
But let's just talk to the UP because that's where I hunt. He's going to be dress out weight is probably going to be crowding the 200.
Okay, that's average.
Yep.
Yeah.
The average bear in Michigan that us hunters take, and more or less, first time still hunters that don't have somebody with them that knows how to judge a bear.
Sure.
Because if you've never seen a bear in the wild, the first one that comes in your bait is going to look like frickin' Smokey. I mean, it's going to be huge to you if you've never seen one.
Right.
So, but the average age, weight-wise in Michigan is 140.
Okay.
That's average.
Okay.
So
not
that
a monster.
No, but that bear's probably a couple 2.5-year-old bear.
Okay. Is it? Can you shoot sows?
So you cannot shoot sows that have cubs. Yes.
But you can shoot like what they consider a dry sow.
You
one
can.
that doesn't.
But, I mean, guys that hunt in one particular area year after year after year,
Yeah.
like we do, it's if you give them time, most of the time, whether it's a boar or sow, when they're in the tree, it's a little harder when they're on the ground. But when they're in the tree, they're gonna relieve themselves.
Yeah.
Take a leak, so you can kind of tell then.
Okay.
Which if it's a boar or sow, and you can tell off the head. So, bears that have the ears are farther apart.
Okay.
It's got a bigger head to him.
Okay.
And smaller ears. That's a big-headed bear.
That's a big.
Most sows don't have a big pumpkin head with a crease down the middle of it.
Okay.
I mean, that's what a sow don't really have that.
Okay.
She'll have a little bit taller ear to her. The ears are going to look a little bigger. Plus, they'll look bigger on a young bear too.
Sure.
So that's a good indication on young bear, sow. We try not to shoot sows if we don't have to.
Right.
I mean, sometimes you don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's a nice,
it's a quick. And it's something happening quick. You know.
And we try to stay dressed out weight around that 200 and
Okay.
better. I mean, you're gonna kill some ones that dress out at 180, but we like to stay well above the average because you can.
Yeah.
If you hunt hard enough.
So if say somebody goes with you and you kind of have discretion on what bear they're shooting.
Yep.
Like you come across one, you tree it.
Yep.
Most of the time, and then you're just like, I think we could do better.
Yep.
We're
for
gonna
sure.
keep moving on.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. For
All
sure.
right. Yeah. What's their diet? Because they're eating everything,
They're
right?
eating everything.
If they're eating fawns, they're eating
everything. So I mean, they're gonna eat a little bit of variety of fish and stuff. But when they first come out of a den, in the spring, it's strictly green grass.
Yep.
Because what happens is when they go into the den in the late fall, they'll eat like pine needles, sappy stuff.
Really?
They'll make a plug because they don't relieve themselves in the den. Okay?
Oh.
Everything slows down.
Right.
So when they come out in the fall or in the spring, they eat really green grass to really give them
It's
the
a
old
shit show.
It's a shit show. It is. So they'll do that to get things rolling. But acorns, beech nuts,
Okay.
berries, of course,
Yeah.
when they can find them. So I mean, choke cherries, a little bit of everything like
Anything
that.
and everything. So
Yep.
they're not strict. They're not a carnivore. They're not an herbivore. They're everything.
No, they're not.
They're a garbage can.
That probably 98% of their diet's going to be them berries and acorns and that kind of stuff.
But if they can get into like a fawn or something,
fish,
Yeah.
this isn't like Alaska where they're down there catching salmon, but they definitely will.
what do
if have
they
to.
like? Birds, squirrels? I don't.
I'm sure them young ones might be into that, but older bears, I'm not. I don't.
And they're
see
not
them
necessarily
doing
eating fresh food. They'll eat. Are they kind of scavengers? Will they eat like something rotted?
that. I've known.
They get into garbage.
Yeah, I've known. I haven't seen this personally, but I've had guys tell me that they've killed a bear and skinned it out. And we got part of the carcass laying there and have put cameras on it, see what would come back, and they've had bears come back and eat on it.
Really?
That's what they say.
Okay. So seasons start. You said there's 3 seasons.
Yep.
When do those start?
So the first season, which is your bait hunts and stuff, that's going to start like September. Gosh, it's changed. It's going to be like the 6th or 7th of September. So they get 5 days, and then like this year, September 11th is
That's
the first.
the bait hunters?
That's the bait hunters get the 5 days. Yep.
Okay.
And then September 11th, which is on a Monday, that's the first day that the
dog hunters.
dog guys. So that's what they call the second season.
Okay.
And then that second season runs until the 25th of September, and then the third season tags will kick in on the 25th, and that runs all the way till October 26th.
Are they all gun, or are they archery, or is it like a combination?
Yeah, you can most still hunters will use anything, but you can use anything you want.
Crossbow, pistol, shotgun, rifle,
spear, whatever. Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Can you spear them in
I
Michigan?
think I don't know that. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, but
That's pretty badass.
I would imagine if you can fling an arrow at one, you probably can if you're man enough, get close enough, stick
Well,
him.
I mean, you see guys that say, "Oh man, he was right at the bottom of my tree stand, and I was only 10 feet up." Hell, if you had a freaking spear in your hand, just boop,
if it's me
drop
or
her
him,
down.
I'm going to get him with whatever.
Oh, yeah, he's going to get poked.
But the majority of the guys that go with us are going to use, some sort of rifle.
Yeah.
I've had lots of guys, though, shoot them with their bows out of the tree.
Yeah. Do you have a preference?
No. I mean, everything's going to go a little bit smoother when you shoot them with a gun. I mean, it goes with anything. But
Right.
I don't mind them shooting them with a bow when they're in a tree.
Yeah.
Now, on the ground, caught on the ground, it's
Yeah.
got to be with a gun.
Okay.
I mean, it's just because we got dogs involved
Right.
and
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And
You can probably be kind of particular with a guy.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
if he says, "Well, I want to shoot it with my bow," and you're like, "Well, if shit hits the fan."
Well, because you always get, you get the guys that do want to do that. Not all of them are like this, but they'll
Right.
tell if they done everything they said they'd done, they'd be 200 years old.
Sure.
They've been here, been there, and shot this and done that. And then when they get there, I mean, they ain't scratch on them. They got brand new
Yeah.
gear. I mean, it looked
Yeah.
like they walked out of Cabela's.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah, you figured out real quick that like
I've
this,
seen
this
enough
is
of
the
them
first timer.
Yeah, I've seen enough of them. But if they want to do the bow, I always make them bring some sort of. Preferably, I like a shotgun with slug.
Yeah.
I've killed lots of bears with my 20 gauge.
Yeah.
Over the years of the bears I've
Yeah.
killed, and I have them guys bring them too. They're
Okay.
lighter to carry.
Yeah.
They shoot, faster, a little bit faster. 12 gauge is harder to beat too.
Right.
But the deer rifles, if they're in a tree, I'm fine with that. But like on the ground,
You don't need a scope.
you don't. No, and that's the other thing.
It's all
is,
iron
is,
sights,
is
right?
iron sights.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to bring something with a scope, I tell them bring one with a scope.
Yeah.
But have one that ain't
Have
got a
something.
scope on
Yeah,
it, because when it's on the ground, I mean, we're in the thick, and you can't zero in.
find it
No,
with a
you
scope.
can't- no,
Yeah.
no, we're gonna be too close.
What? Yeah. What is? I mean, what is?
So, well, we'll talk the lingo a little bit. So, bayed up is what it's called if it's
Okay.
on the ground. We
Yeah,
call
because
it
there's definitely a language.
definitely a houndsman lingo.
I found that out when I went running with you. I'm like, these guys have a language all their own.
Definitely do. So, treat, of course, or got him on a limb, we call it.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the bear has gone up a tree.
Okay.
So the dogs will be at the base of the tree, and they'll be barking up at him. Typical bear, depending on the size, is going to be probably 15 to 25 feet up. I've
Yeah.
seen them higher, and I've seen them a lot lower.
Yeah.
You can always tell the lower ones, though you can always tell the nervous ones.
Yeah.
The ones that are up a tree, but that ain't where they want to be.
Right.
Those are going to be the lowest ones. Those
Yeah.
are the ones that are probably going to come back down on you.
Right.
But anyways, and then bayed up or caught.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the bear's either just stopped in a big thick area,
Yeah.
and it don't always have to be thick, but the majority of the time it is, or he's, there's a deadfall and he's gotten in there or under a blowdown.
Yep.
We call that bayed up. So the dogs, and that's the most dangerous time for the dogs
Yeah.
that there is,
Yeah.
because those dogs will be anywheres from, 4 to 6 feet from the bear, if not closer. And, we can run 8.
8 dogs.
Yep.
Okay.
So
Is that by
that's by law.
legal? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
by law.
yeah, you can
Okay.
run 8. And so when you get in there, 8 dogs, when you think about it,
Yeah.
that's not that. Well, when you get in there and they're surrounding this bear,
Yeah.
it gets to look like there's 20 dogs there,
Right.
because
They're all over each other.
Yeah. So it makes it a little difficult to shoot. So
Yeah.
now you have a guy that's never seen this before,
Right.
and you're trusting him to make a good shot on this bear.
Don't shoot my dog.
No, exactly. And back to why I don't like the rifles on the bay ups is because most rifles are going to go through an animal.
Yep.
Where a slug or something.
Yeah. It'll tumble around.
That's
in
why
there
we
and
use
not
that,
come out.
because
Yeah.
typically we try not to, but
Yep.
if you have to, you have to. There may be a dog on the other side.
Right.
But we usually get close enough to where we're shooting, almost down on the bear.
Yeah.
So we're going to be, as close as the dog. So
Right.
5 to 6 feet,
Right.
and I've had some bad ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just start from the morning.
Yep.
What time does the morning hunt start?
So
Are you out earlier than everybody else? I guess, like, how does that work?
Yes and no. So we used to, and now, so I have some guys that kind of work with me.
So you got a crew of guys.
Yep.
Okay.
I have 2-3 guys that work with me. So what we do is those, I'm kind of the babysitter. I take care of the hunter.
Yep.
So those guys will go out. Everybody has a string of baits that they're going to check.
Okay, so you've got baits out.
We've got baits out with cameras on them.
Okay.
So we know what's coming the night before.
Right.
And but the one reason we started going a little bit not starting until daylight is some of these bears weren't. I mean, they were coming and staying until 5-6 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
So shoot, sometimes we were getting there before the bear does. So anyway, I'll pick the hunter up. We'll have a place that we meet. I'll pick the hunter up.
Okay.
We'll start checking baits pretty much right at daylight.
Are you running cell cameras? Or you just you just checking baits?
We're gonna try some this year.
Yeah.
And we tried the original ones that come out. I don't even remember the name of them.
Yeah. Coverts or
they were something
Moultries
off brand.
Yeah.
But
okay.
anyways, the service, it's just like a cell phone.
Service
Man,
up there
it's
sucks.
Terrible.
Yeah.
And it would cut down so much driving if you could get some that would work.
Yeah.
But no, these are just regular that you got to have
Just
an
regular
SD
trail
card.
camera.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So, and what we do that for is just to help keep us from, because back in the day, what we used to do when I first started, even, and it was on further than that, is we would set up a bait and make paths where the bear had to walk. I mean, we'd put berms up with limbs.
Just kind of
guide
him into an area then.
Yep, we'd give him 2 or 3 ways, but then we would put sand down in the path.
Oh.
So that we could see
tracks.
what if we got a sow with cubs,
Okay.
how big of a bear we got. We got a little 2.5 inch, or do we got a 4 inch? So we used to do that. These cameras have just, they've changed that totally, and have saved a lot of,
tactics.
Well, it saved a lot of turning loose and wasting time on sow and cubs, and then probably because if you do tree a sow, and let's just say she had cubs, well, she may have treed them a mile back, and now you treat her, and some guys are going to go and shoot, not even knowing that she had cubs. Yeah, I'm sure that's happened over the years.
Yeah.
So this has helped. So everybody's got one of them checkers. They can check their cards.
Yep.
So they get a certain baits they're going to go to.
Yep.
I've got the hunter. We'll check the baits. The nicest bear that we have coming that day, that's where we'll go and turn loose.
Okay.
Probably around 8 o'clock we're turning loose, something like that.
So you guys are all on your
We got
radios
CBs,
or CBs,
Garmin's. We can see where everybody's
Yeah,
at.
because I wanted to talk to you about how to keep track of the dogs.
Yeah. Yep.
But anyway, so go ahead.
So we'll communicate via radio or text. And every bait's got a name to it.
Okay.
And there ain't no
So
rhyme
everybody
or
knows
everybody knows where you're
right
at.
where we're at.
Yep.
Okay.
And just like any, even deer hunters got names to the roads, and we got names to the roads that ain't the normal.
Right.
So then we all meet at the same bait, and typically, like I said, there's 2 or 3 of us that have the dogs, and we'll turn a couple dogs loose.
Okay.
That we call cold trail dogs.
Okay.
And we can get into that later too. But so we'll turn loose. Let's just say 8 o'clock. I've had the bear on the truck by 8:45 before, but I've also not killed him till 4 in the afternoon.
Sure.
So just every hunt, you just never know when you turn loose what's going to happen.
Each bear is different.
Each bear's different. Each hunt's different.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
So you're learning something from each and every bear that you go after.
Yep. So that's what we do. The hunters will ride with me.
Yep.
It's a 3-day hunt. Sometimes weather permitting, it takes 3 days, and sometimes we're.
Are you going rain, sleet, or snow?
So to an extent. So the bears will come to baits at night.
Okay.
Sometimes they'll come at 6, 7 at night.
Yep.
Most bears are going to hit from 9 at night till 2 to 3 in the morning.
Okay.
That's the way.
That's their.
Some will stay later. Some will come in later. But so if it's rained all night, we're hunters. We're going to go.
Right.
The guy is paying us to go.
Sure.
We have to go give it an effort. And I've killed a pile of bears after it's rained like that.
Right.
But that all goes back on the dogs. They're the ones doing the work, really. You know what I mean? Because when it rains...
Rain is better, right?
Rain is better. Rain is good before dark.
Okay.
Okay? And that's about the only time rain is good when it comes to dog hunting, because if it rains in the middle of the night and the bear's already been there, it washes the
washes
scent
away
out
the
for 'em.
scent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the bears or the dogs when they're tracking, like, what is there something like? So say with a deer, there's like a pheromone.
Yeah.
Is it the same with a bear, or is it just strictly like,
It's
hey,
just,
I smell like a bear?
It's just
I'm
kind of the bear scent, and you
Okay.
know, if you watch a dog, a good cold trail bear dog, what I consider one. I mean, they're using, you know, at that time of the year we have ferns. So
Okay.
most dogs are not smelling off dirt,
right.
rocks like that. I mean, we have some, but I'm
Yeah.
saying the average don't have dogs that are doing that.
Okay.
Most dogs are smelling off ferns,
Okay.
leaves,
Yep.
things like that where the bear leaves scent.
Yep.
But the reason and bears leave so much scent, of course, bigger the bear, more the scent.
Yeah.
Is I've seen them when they're running. The bear's
Uh-huh.
actually up and running. I've seen dogs, a whole pack of them, be 20, 30 yards downwind of where the bear crossed,
Yep.
but still running. We're running that bear,
Yeah.
but that scent, they're drifting it. Okay, that's
Okay.
how much scent that they'll leave.
So you got a different dog for different situations.
So we have different dogs for the start, but they all can finish.
Okay.
So
So a cold trail, cold track.
we call our lingo is cold trail dog or
Okay.
strike dog.
So that's just one that would go out and they have maybe a better nose.
they do.
Okay.
So what happens is when we go to the bait's hit, and then the other thing that determines on what we're turning loose is what time the bear was there.
Yeah.
So let's just say we're there at 8:00 in the morning and the bear was there at 1.
Yeah.
I mean that's
that's
in our
7 hours.
It
That's
is, and to us that's not out of the norm.
Okay.
But not all dogs can take a 7-hour
Sure.
old track.
Sure.
So you have those certain dogs that when you kick them out, you'll turn them loose down to the bait and you let them pick the way.
And
because-
that's all based off of just your knowledge of your dog.
That just
right?
knowing your
Like
dog,
knowing
and
your
then
dog
that's
and understanding what they're good
you know,
at.
this John that I've talked about earlier. He's done passed away, and I've kept this line of dogs, and so has the guys that hunt with me. But this goes back to 45 years of him breeding the right
Okay.
stuff to the right stuff to get these cold trail dogs.
Okay. Okay.
That can take tracks like that.
So you'll send out a couple dogs that are
send a
cold
couple
trail
yep.
dogs. So if they get on a scent, they start
start barking right away.
Barking right away.
But you can, so it'll be like they might bark here a little bit. Just depends. Every dog's different on a cold trail. Some
Okay.
will give a lot of mouth, bark a lot.
Sure, sure.
And some will bark here, some will bark there. But then when they start rolling, which means got to bear up,
Right.
and he's making fresh tracks now. I mean, now they're hammering.
Okay.
Okay. So the cold trail, I like the cold trail because I like to see good dog work.
Sure.
But the cold trail is not an exciting part of the hunt.
Right.
Sometimes it is the boringest part of the hunt.
Yeah, 'cause,
unless
I mean,
you've
you're
got
just-
unless you drive around, you got no baits hit, then it's pretty boring too. But
Right.
because the dogs are moving slow because the track is let's
Right.
just say it's 7 hours
Yeah.
old.
Yeah. They got to work a lot
Yep.
harder to come up with a fresher track.
Those are called cold trail dogs. The next group of dogs are called pack dogs.
Okay.
Now, I have some that I consider pack dogs, but I can cold trail with them too. But
Yeah.
I have other ones that are better at it. So I mean, you can't hunt them. You can't cold trail them all. You don't want to cold trail with more than 3.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I don't. A lot of guys will do that. I've seen them 5, 6 turn loose on a bait and it blows up. Well, we got too many feet on the ground.
Right.
For the track and just because it's a 7-hour-old track doesn't really mean much. It's all about conditions.
Yeah.
I had a dog that I called Goose, and 24 hours he never jumped it, but he could cold trail the bear. But it's all the conditions.
Right.
A dog that can cold trail an old track if the conditions are right.
Okay.
I've seen dogs not take a 3-hour-old track because the conditions weren't right.
Right.
Just depends. It's
Yeah.
real finicky sometimes.
Yeah. So the dogs all have collars, right?
Yep.
Radio
Yep.
collars,
Yep.
GPS.
Yep.
And I mean, I was kind of blown away when we went. You can tell by putting those collars on your dog. Obviously, you can tell right where they're at.
Yep.
But you can also tell if they're on a bear, if they're barking, if they've treed a bear.
Oh,
just by
the technology is just
it's insane.
it's insane. You know,
I mean, these dogs can be a mile away.
yeah. I mean, you're good up to, depending on the train, 2.5 miles. But if you're any further than that, I mean,
Right.
there's something going on. There's something wrong
Right.
anyways. But yeah, I'll touch on that. But the pack dogs are dogs that after the bears jumped, you know, they cross a road or whatever, we put those in. And
Okay.
those are just
So now will you
helper
pull your
dogs.
cold trail dogs
If-
out
if,
and
you know-
put in your pack dogs?
Yes and no. Sometimes I do on my good ones because, I mean, at the beginning I don't. I want them to be able to get some bear shot to them. But later on I will, only because I have, you know, a pile of guys to take.
Right.
I'm relying
You
on
can't
those dogs.
You can't wear out those
listen,
dogs.
I'm relying on them not to get hurt.
Right.
So, but yes, we do. We will pull them ones.
So how do you get
Oh, it's tough.
how do you get a dog that's on a bear
So
off off that track
So-
and into the truck?
Back in the day was super tough. Like, I mean, back in the day when John first started hunting, he was
Yeah.
my age. There was no collars. There was no beeps. You went with the dogs and tried to
just
stay with them. And then when you crossed a sandy road, you would mark an arrow which way the dogs went,
Okay.
and that you went.
So the guys
So you
with you
spent-
with the truck.
Yeah. So he'd drive around, see this arrow. Okay, they've crossed here.
Okay.
I mean, and we're talking like, but they hunted one day and looked for dogs for 5. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't have no collars. So then when I started, we had these beep collars. So they had a collar on it that was a transmitter, and it would send out a beep.
Yep.
And then you had this box that would, if you had it pointing in the way the dog was, it would beep louder and faster
Sure.
than over here.
Almost like a metal detector. kinda.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that worked good. That was forever.
Yeah.
And they still have those.
Right.
But then Garmin got into the game
Yeah.
and come out with these what we have now.
Yeah.
You know, and there's been 4 or 5 different ones, but
Okay.
it's totally changed the game. It's kept older guys that probably would be out of it now in it, which is good. And it's brought a lot of younger guys that
Sure.
it's good and bad for the game, but it's
Okay.
good because you know where the dog is all the time.
Yeah.
If he's getting close to a road, you can
Yep.
get there. There's you don't have to worry about him getting run over.
Yeah.
In the wolf situation too that we have going on in the UP.
So will the wolves will they go after a dog?
Yes, and I've had it one time where they've come in and started barking and howling when the dogs was cold trailing.
Okay.
In other guys' experiences, I've been lucky, fortunate that
Yeah.
that's the only time. But I think it happens more then when there's only a couple dogs
Sure.
than when you have 8 of them that
Yeah.
are just driving and not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You're just numbers.
Yes, and,
Yeah.
and wolves are, you know, I mean, we've had the dogs get off on them and run them. And when it's just one wolf, it's really not a problem. But it's when you get that 4 to 5,
Sure.
and then there's
Yeah.
a pack
Yeah.
of hunting.
Yeah.
That's when. But
It's
I've
a
luckily
it's a standoff.
and it's just. But if you can know, and if something does go down, you know, it's just sometimes you can't even. Some of these guys haven't even had a chance to get in there to
It's
them.
crazy. That's crazy.
but
But yeah, so like
But yeah, that back to what you're saying about knowing what the dogs are doing on that Garmin is, it gives you the speed the dog's running. It gives you, you know, there's an indicator on if he's barking.
yeah.
Now I don't think it's not totally accurate, but if he's barking 20 barks a minute or 80, well, if he's barking 20 and he's out of my earshot where I can't hear
Yeah.
him, to me he's still cold trailing.
Okay.
Okay. When that thing starts clicking off 80, he's either looking
on
at it,
something.
driving,
Yeah.
treed. Okay, that's when that's going to happen. But you can also watch their speed.
Okay.
So most dogs, you know, that 2 to 3 mile an hour,
Yep.
if not, we're cold trailing.
Yeah.
Now we're going to get up to that 7 to 9 because I've got some that can hoofer.
Run. Yeah.
That's running. I mean, and that's driving.
They're
a track.
pushing that bear
Yeah,
wherever
when
they're
they're
on it.
Yep, they're driving.
I'll be damn.
Yep.
What does a collar like that cost?
So the collars, and they're worth every penny, but the collars nowadays are about $300 a piece.
Whew.
And to get the Garmin, the transmitter,
The
where
good
you can
stuff.
see it, because it's like
Yeah.
a video game that
Right.
these kids got nowadays. Those are $800-900.
Damn.
You know,
So you got
some
a
coin
hell
that
of
you
an
got-
investment into.
Now I've got
Yeah.
you 8 collars times 300.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
some coin into it.
Yeah.
And then they last pretty good,
Yeah.
but you know, every 3-4 years,
You
I like
gotta-
to
Just
at least cycle
just
in some new
update 'em.
ones just to keep it.
That's crazy. Damn. It's that to me was super impressive because, here we are when I went with you the one time, we were miles away.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh shit, they're on one.
Yeah.
So then it's freaking hammer down in the truck
Yep.
and we're going down
And
2
it's,
tracks.
it's just like anything else. If you've been in it long enough and see
Yeah.
it and
Yeah.
actually get in the woods with the dogs, you can know
Yeah.
what
You understand
Okay,
it.
well, when he's going this fast, this is what's
Yeah.
going on.
Right.
So, or
Right. Yeah. So is it normally just one hunter at a time? Like you're just kind of one-on-one?
Yep. So the tags, yes. And now the tags have already come out this year. I actually have a group of 4 that's going to come together. So when they do that, what happens is they determine who's going to be the first
Sure.
guy shooting. But yeah, typically
Will
it's,
you go all 4 together?
Yep,
And
so-
then, or will you go
Nope.
like break into 2 groups?
I'll bring them all 4. I'll give them I've gave them a full week.
Yep.
And we'll just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, because on average it's what, 3 days per guy?
3 days per
Okay.
guy. The
So,
only
yeah.
time that we'll split up, now this particular hunt with them 4, if it gets down towards the end of it, and we've got 2 left, and we've got 2 or 3 days left,
Yeah.
we'll split up, try and get that
Try and
finished
get
up.
that finished up. Yeah.
But then sometimes I got to overlap some hunters.
Yeah.
So a guy might come in 2 days early, but this other guy still got a day. Then we'll split up and
Yeah.
do that. But
Okay.
Just, Just because of the time wise, you have to do that
Yeah.
sometimes.
What obviously you learn something different from each bear.
Yeah.
Is there some common things that like you can kind of predict, or is every bear completely different? Maybe depends on age. Maybe
Yeah, I
whether
mean,
it's a sow
it's
or-
real funny when you hunt in an area as long as I have where I'm at up there for when kill season comes in, because
Yeah.
I don't train there. You can definitely tell like that bears are like, they're just like deer. They'll, even when you're running them, they're going to use the same routes.
Sure. So
and sometimes
you kind of have an idea.
You kinda have an
general
idea, like, this
what
is-
he's heading to this area.
He's headed for here, and
Yeah.
that's probably where we're going to catch him at.
Yeah.
But every bear's a little bit different. Now, size wise, if you get anything 250 and above, the potential of catching them on the ground, baying them,
Yeah.
increases. The bigger the bear, the more chances of him not wanting to tree, because he
Yeah.
don't have to. You stay around that 200, and I can tell, like, if he's really running and running
Yeah.
hard, those bears are probably going to tree,
Okay.
especially if they're 100 yards out in front of the dogs
Mm-hmm.
or something. He's probably going to get tired enough to where he'll go up a
He'll just
tree
go
on his
up.
own.
Yeah.
It's when those bigger ones that get slow and the dogs actually catch up to him.
Yeah.
Those are the times that, I don't care how many dogs you got in there. If he don't want a tree, he's not gonna.
He'll just keep swatting and biting.
Swatting
and-
or just walking. And I've killed some big ones, high 400s.
Yeah.
We killed one that was over, actually, Mike Strope out of Mount Pleasant killed one that
Okay.
was 525 with me.
Damn.
He was bayed up on the ground, never put a scratch on a dog. Just was
He's just a big old butterball.
just a old gentle Ben, you
Yeah.
know. But the big ones, if you get one right one, and he does get a hold of you, he can
Yeah.
do some, that's the only time
crazy.
that things can go bad.
How do you handle private land?
So majority of all where I'm at is state.
Okay.
There is, there's places that have
Sure.
a cabin here and they've got
Okay.
an acre or two.
Okay.
But that place, I'm not the only guy that hunts there. There's a couple other groups that hunt there.
Okay.
So everybody in that area knows the time of the year. There's dog guys.
So people that probably own property up
Yep.
there, they got a pretty good indication.
They do.
Like, hey, I know there's a potential
Yep.
for this to happen.
Yep, and the only time that you really, they don't care that you run bears through there.
Yeah.
The only time that we take the time, and everybody should, is if they happen to tree the
Tree
bear
on
on the
their
guy's
ground.
place.
Yeah.
We always go let the guy know. And and sometimes they got a road system. We can
Yeah.
drive right to the tree. I've had guys that'll four-wheeler them out for us. I
Okay.
mean, there's a lot of good people up there.
I was just gonna say, do you ever run across anybody that's like, oh hell no, you're not coming in here?
You do, and I'd hate to say it, but there's always a guy that has a cabin there that lives here in the lower. So
Why does that not surprise me?
those things up there are just a little
Yeah.
bit slower,
Yeah.
and no,
Yeah.
they're always willing to help, and it's really nice. So
Yeah, I've noticed that up there. I mean, like, they get it. They know what time
they
of
do.
year it is.
They're hunters too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they enjoy it. Matter of fact,
Oh, yeah, I could only imagine. You've probably come across guys.
a lot of
that are
guys
like,
will
hey, I
follow
want
us
to get in on
around
this.
and want to listen to the dogs.
Yeah.
Lots of people.
Yeah, yeah. How about your relationship with stand hunters?
You know,
Can they hunt when you're hunting?
they can. We just can't hunt when they get the first 5 days alone.
You can't hunt when they hunt, but they can hunt when you hunt.
Yes. And they really don't. The only thing that they'll do is, with their bait being in the woods,
Yeah.
it's another bait for bears to go to that maybe don't go to your bait that night.
Okay.
But there's enough area, there's enough
Yeah.
bears to go around that
Yeah.
we really don't have any problem with them. And
you-
we've had lots of guys that'll hit a bear, can't find him that night or something. We won't actually turn the dogs loose off the leash, but I've gone in and have tracked the bears up for him with the dog next morning, on the leash.
up to
just
somebody
almost
else's
like what
bait?
guys would. No.
Oh,
So the stand hunter will shoot a bear that evening,
okay.
doesn't find it.
Okay.
They'll call me the next morning.
Okay.
And we go just almost like the
Yeah,
your
just
deer
like a deer
tracking.
tracking.
Only we're not going off blood.
Right.
We're strictly
just
scent.
scent. Yep.
But we've done that. We've had some still hunters, they try to do it on their own.
Yep.
And usually these guys will call when it is season. They'll be like, "Hey, I've been
working
10 days
hard,
at
but-
her,"
yeah.
and what'll happen, is the first 5 days things are good, but once the dogs get in the woods, and this is probably what irritates the still hunters, is the bears will go more nocturnal
Okay.
because there's a lot more commotion. They hear the dogs, so they're not coming in at 5, 6 in the afternoon,
Right.
so you can shoot them.
Right.
That's when I'll get the call. I've been 10 days at
Yeah.
it. Can you
Can you get me on?
can you get me in?
Yeah. But
you know?
I mean, they also know that.
Yeah.
Going in.
Yep.
It's like, well, I couldn't get it done when
Yep.
it was just me.
Yep.
So now I got to contend with everybody else. that's in the
100%.
word. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. What? Pretty good success rate.
Yeah. So, and it's funny. I don't do still hunters. I don't.
Okay.
I don't even advertise for them.
Okay.
Because I'm a dog guy.
Yeah.
I want to hunt them with the dogs.
Yeah.
I want the dogs to get
They're
rewarded.
That's
That's why
your excitement.
That's why I do it.
Right.
I really don't do it for
Yeah, it's not just an added extra.
No.
It's like, this
No.
is what I do. I've got
But
a lot invested
the
in it.
guy that I talked about earlier that come 8 years in a row. Like the first or second year he came, his girlfriend was with him, and she wanted, this is what I want to do. I want to do this.
Yeah.
Well, she drew a tag the next year. Well, then she didn't want to. She wanted to still hunt. So I don't have any baits really set up for it. We did one real quick. She was not successful.
Okay.
But since then, and that was, like I said, he's went 8 years in a row, and that was probably, he didn't go last year. So that was at least 8 or 9 years ago. And everybody that's come with me on a bear has got a bear.
At least has
Now,
an opportunity on
As
one.
but everybody has killed a bear
Okay.
with me. So what has happened though is I've brought a guy, the first part of the season before.
Yeah.
We've run through his 3 days, either rain, we didn't catch the right
Okay.
bear.
Yep.
So what I do is I set some time in at the end of the season.
Okay. Just kind of
for
preload that time.
because you never know what's going to happen.
Sure.
So I've had to bring some guys back like
Okay.
that.
Well, I mean, that's
But
that's
we've
good
been
that you
really-
can do it, because there's a
Yeah.
lot of guys who can be like, well, your time's up. Sorry.
exactly.
Thanks for your money.
And it's not about the money, because you can't make. Listen, I just told you
Yeah,
how much
yeah,
money
yeah,
we got
yeah,
in this,
yeah.
and that ain't counting the
Yeah.
vet bills, the food, the gas.
Yeah.
So there's no money in it. So it ain't because I want to bring the guy back, and because the way I do prices is a lot different than what other guys do.
Okay.
But anyway, so I just want them to be successful. I want
Fun.
to have, because that's why I do it.
Yeah.
I enjoy taking
Yeah.
first timers.
Let's
That's
go out and
never
have a good
seen
time.
this. Yep, it's never seen it before, and it's fun bringing guys back that you've hunted with before. That
Yeah.
I've made some great relationships with people, and it's opened a lot of doors. And just with SCI and that whole deal,
yeah.
because I take those guys, it's really good. It's been
Yeah.
really good.
How do you contend with other dog hunters?
So there's like I said, there's a couple other groups that hunt right where I hunt.
Okay.
And it's just just a kind of an unwritten rule. It's state land,
Yep.
but you don't put your baits right on top of your neighbor.
Yep.
And there's certain areas that we hunt.
Yep.
We do run into them guys, and they run into us. But it's
Okay.
always we're out here doing the same thing. Without each other, this don't happen.
So we've agreed that, like, I'm gonna hunt this area.
Yep.
You're gonna take this area. We're gonna try not to overlap.
To an extent, we still overlap, but I guess maybe what I should have said, more or less what happens is, okay, if you know I'm in here and I've got dogs on this bait,
Yeah.
and you have a bait half a mile down the road,
Yeah.
I don't expect you to go turn loose on that bait because your dogs are going to end up where my dogs are.
Right.
So that kind of unwritten rule, like, okay, you're here, we're going to get out of here and go someplace else.
Yeah.
And that's gone both ways.
Yeah. You ever have a situation where it's like, hold on, this is my bear that my dogs are on. No, it's my bear that my dogs are on.
When I first kind of started, more or less over to Paradise and that, we had that happen.
Yeah.
And there's bad apples in every hunting group.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're going to get those guys that are greedy that, probably have gone 6 weekends in a row and not even seen a bear, and they finally get their dogs on one that's your dogs. Of course, they're going to try and claim it. And
Sure.
with me having the hunters and that image, I'm not going to waste my. Go ahead, I can go catch another one.
I'm good enough to where I can go get another
Yep,
one.
not worried about it one bit. But
Yeah.
where I'm at, I hunt next to some really good guys, and we don't have any of that problem.
Okay.
Luckily,
Well, that
it's
makes it
really
nice.
good.
Makes it a lot more enjoyable for
Yep.
you and your hunter,
It
obviously,
is.
because that's the last thing.
It is.
They won't ever come back if they get a big
Well,
old
not if we got a
altercation,
big fist of cuffs or something.
Yeah.
Nothing will go to that.
Yeah, yeah. How about? I mean, obviously, it's just a given. Your dogs are going to get beat up.
They are. But I've had years, knock on wood, that not a scratch.
Okay.
It all depends, and it goes back to that tree and or catching them on the ground.
Yeah.
I've had years there where, we've killed 14, 15 bears, and 13 of them have been treed.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
Right.
We don't. I mean, the bay ups are going to happen, but then I've hunted there before, and over half of them have been bayed up on the ground.
Yeah.
And that's just a tough year for the dogs and for the people, because I mean, unless you've seen it, you don't know and been in on it. It's stressful.
I could only imagine being a new hunter coming in, and all of a sudden, now this bear that, as a hunter, I'm responsible for, is whopping the shit out of somebody's, your dog, and
and you got a guy, you got me yelling at you to get up.
Yeah.
I mean, now
you need to get on it.
chaos is going on, and I've seen guys just crumble.
Yeah.
Seen it happen. I've seen guys lose their mind. Just when I say lose their mind, like they can't function no more. It's
too much for them to take.
too much. It's too much.
Damn. Yeah.
So you find out what you got on one of those deals. You'll find out real quick.
Yeah. So once you realize, say, that you don't have a bear treed and it's on the ground, it's a little bit of a critical time. Like, we got to get in there now because I can't have my dogs getting freaking.
No, because the longer in this pack or line of dogs I have now and the guys I hunt with, we don't have any what I call an alligator. And what alligator to me is dogs that just when the bear's caught on the ground,
they just want to
pile in there on it. Now that's a vet bill I don't want because some guys are into that to an extent because they feel like that it'll make the bear go up a tree.
Yeah.
Like I told you earlier, they don't want to go up a tree, they're not going to.
Right.
Well, I can't. For one, nobody can afford these vet bills nowadays.
Right.
The other thing is, I have to be able to hunt the next day.
Yeah.
I can't have 6 of them with tubes coming out of them, drain tubes that I can't hunt for 3 weeks.
Right.
I've got hunters back piled up here. I mean, I have to be able to hunt every day. Yeah. So I kind of, when I start them out, as I don't let them get after things too much, I kind of, they have to have a respect for what we're after, bears or cats.
Okay.
Because they can get tore up by a cat too.
Yeah.
But I like them 5 to 6 feet away from the bear, baying it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to kill the bear.
Is that all something that you kind of train your dogs for, or you just?
You can try to help.
Okay.
So when you first start them off and you're using a fight sack with some scent on it,
Okay.
and they're wanting to tear into it,
Okay.
you kind of you don't let them tear into it.
Sure.
You keep them back. That's probably the main one.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is when they actually get on a bay their first time and they're starting to do that stuff.
Yeah.
Now with these collars, it's made the training game fun. I mean,
Yeah.
just so much easier
Changed
to
it
break
completely.
dogs. So now what you do is you tone them or maybe just
Yep.
poke them a little bit with the
Yep.
collar to back them away.
Yeah.
And then once
Yeah.
they back off, you're right there with them. You
Right.
reward them.
Right.
I mean, it's a long process, and this line of dogs is really a big game bred dog, big game minded. Now there's guys out there with blue ticks too, but other breeds of dogs that are faster,
Okay.
are way more grittier. But the one thing that they ain't gonna beat these ones as is nose.
Yeah.
There's nobody gonna out cold trail these dogs. They can cold trail maybe with them, but they're not. That's what I've
That's
bred
kind
for.
of your claim
because
to fame right
you
now.
you can't catch nothing, you can't kill nothing if you can't start
If
it.
you can't, yeah, no, that
Okay,
makes
so
sense. Yeah, it's
when I
all
go
got to be
do-
about the starting game.
When I got a hunter and I go do a bait and I've got
Yeah.
another guy coming in the next day, we have to kill this bear today. We
Yeah.
have to jump it. There's
Yeah.
no, So, but that just all them years bred into them. That's
Yeah.
where you get the enhance of the cold trailing. Because I wasn't the only one that was looking for, and you look for dogs too, like John did. That when you get in there, that dog's staying back a little bit,
Sure.
fighting. I'm gonna breed to this dog.
Sure.
Next cross I make, I'm gonna breed to this one, not the one that's hanging on his back right now.
Yeah.
So then the more you breed to that,
It
is what
changes
you're
their
gonna get.
demeanor and just kind of how they handle
but
themselves.
when it comes to breeding, and that's a whole nother thing you can get into, you enhance good traits in the bad traits
Okay.
when you breed dogs.
Yeah.
And it's 50-50.
Right.
When them pups, when you pick one out of a litter, it's 50-50. I mean,
Yeah.
I've nobody's figured that out.
Yeah, you'd be a millionaire if you
Well,
did that.
that's $1 million question.
Kind of going a little bit backwards.
Yep.
On the baits, what's a normal what's a bait for you? How much?
So,
what does it consist of? Like, what's your go-to?
In Michigan, we can't use barrels. You have to be hollow. We use hollow stumps.
Okay.
You can also dig a hole and
You
pile.
can't use barrels. I
Nope.
didn't know that.
You can, and don't quote me on private land.
Okay.
But state land, national forest,
Oh, yeah,
nothing.
that makes sense.
Yep, nothing. They did it for 1 year and then got away from it. But anyways, we use hollow stumps.
Okay.
So just a natural hollow
Yeah.
stump that's pretty stiff.
Yep.
And then we'll take a lid, probably 4 or 5 inches, that covers the top.
Okay.
Keeps the coons from getting into it. But our bait will consist of some trail mix, peanuts and like raisins.
Yep.
Some ice cream cones that are like cinnamon.
Yep.
And then Rice Krispie treats is what we're going to use
Really?
this year. Yeah. You donuts
That
are
sounds pretty damn good.
donuts are good too. A lot of people use granola. The price of granola has gone up
Yeah.
dramatically in the last 5 years. So bait gets pricey too.
Oh, I could only imagine.
Everybody when they find out what you charge for hunting, they're like, geez. Well, then you figure out what I got
guess
into
how many
it,
baits I'm running.
and then the baits I'm running, and then the price of the bait. Well, we live in Lower Michigan now.
Yeah.
It's 6-hour drive to
Yeah.
go do the baits when
Yeah.
it comes time.
Yeah. At $3.50 a gallon.
Yeah, and the only time the bear's going to come there is when you got bait there.
Right.
So what happens is you go there and bait the bait on one night. Bear comes that night, eats all the bait.
Yeah.
You might not go back for 2 weeks. Well, it's sitting there without bait for 2 weeks.
How much is there a limit to how much you can put out?
A couple gallons.
A couple gallons.
Yeah.
Okay. How many baits are you running?
So we usually do.
Is there a limit on how many baits you can run?
I think it's. Yeah, there's like three to five. We'd have to look at that, but 3 to 5
per person?
Yes, per
Okay.
person. So I go off of like the guys that are hunting with me.
Yep.
We'll do 9 to 10 baits.
Okay, yeah.
So, which is, and they're not on top of each other. That's the other thing because I try to keep them, 3 miles apart because, and even sometimes then you'll get those bears that are wandering. He hit this bait at 9, and at 5 in the morning he's
Right.
over here at this
He's
bait.
over here 3
but if you
miles
keep
away.
them spread, we getting different bears all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Those sound like good baits. You probably find my fat ass in there
Oh, listen,
mowing down.
you
Little
know,
snacky
and
snack.
here's, I joked with somebody one time. We killed a bear, and you can shoot them if they have a collar on them. But this particular
Okay.
bear had a collar on it, and we killed it on September 26th. I was 6-7 years ago. Had a collar. Killed it. Well, the Mississippi State was doing the study. They was the ones that had the collar on.
Okay.
That bear was collared. So that bear was like he must have been 2.5. Well, he was like 162 or 63 rings a bell, dressed out.
Okay. So that would have put him at what? A couple 100 pounds?
Yeah, with his guts in him.
Yeah.
Yeah, really close to it,
Okay.
right there, 205 something. So we killed him September 26th. He was collared that June of the same year.
Okay.
And he was at like 80 to 90 pounds or something.
Oh,
he
my
put
God.
that much weight on. Okay,
Just
that's
over a few months.
72 miles from where we killed him
Oh,
is
my
where he was
gosh.
collared. He was collared clear up by Kenton, which is off of 28 Plum, way west of Marquette.
That's almost hard to believe.
Well, I told him guys, you got bait with the right bait, boys. I said I got him coming miles away.
The word's out.
Yeah, word's out. You gotta give him the
Blue
granola.
Plains got, Blue Plains got the old
We
buffet
bring them
out.
all, man. But no, that's just I just some people say like with the acorns and the beech nuts, bears will travel to go to them.
Well, I mean,
He was a boar, young.
Yeah,
I think he just
like
went
he-
on a. I
he
just
got
think he went
booted
on
or
a
whatever.
walkabout. Yeah, I don't
He
think
just-
there was any rhyme
he
or
just
reason.
kind of because, like, okay, is it their eyesight or their scent? What's their how good
Scent.
can they smell?
Real good. Their scent is what, even their eyesight. I don't think it's that. I mean, I'm sure it's good, but I don't think it's
Yeah.
that great. But their scent, that's their number one.
What are they
deal.
compared to, like, say, a human?
Oh gosh,
you know?
I think they're better than a dog.
Really?
Yeah. To the bay up deal when dogs are baying them up, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of commotion going on. I mean, you can't even hear yourself because the dogs are barking.
Yeah.
Lots of times, if you walk into a bay up on the upwind side, he will bust. He still has this nose going. Even though the
Really?
dogs, there's a lot more other things to worry about. You have to walk into a bay up on the downwind side, or he will bust you every time.
As a
human. As we're walking in to go and harvest him or try
Really?
to,
God damn,
they'll
I
bust
didn't
you.
realize that.
Bah.
I figured once you had them, you
Nope.
had them.
Nope.
So just
Seen it too many times.
So once they smell you,
It's done. They already know they're being
I'll
they're
be
being
damned.
hunted.
that's crazy. I didn't
Yeah.
know that. That's
Yep.
wild.
I learned. I mean, you learn that kind of stuff the hard way. Guys
Sure.
don't-
You're
there's-
thinking, what
there's
the
not
hell
a
just
book that.
happened?
Yeah, there's not a book you can read that in.
I'll be damned. That's crazy. That's crazy. So, okay. How do bears compare to cats? Hunting them.
Totally different.
completely
Completely different. Completely different dog work.
Really?
Completely different dog. I mean,
Okay.
I use the same. You use a quarter of the dogs too. A really good cat hunt with cat hunters that know what's going on. It's 2 dogs.
Okay.
That's all you want.
And we're talking snow.
We're talking
because we're
snow.
talking when.
This is January and February.
Okay. And you want
You want snow.
You
You
want
want good snow. You want fresh snow. Ideally 4 to 5 inches is really good.
yeah.
But you'll take more.
Yeah.
You get up into that couple feet, and then they get harder to find because cats they get a little bit lazy. They don't move as far.
Yeah.
But back to the dogs, it's like I said, only a couple dogs, but it's bear hunting is really you're in the when we're hunting, we're in the truck a lot.
Yep.
Okay, they just cross this road, you're booming her down to the next one,
Yep.
try and get closer. They're driving.
Are you
okay?
always trying to get out in front of the bear?
Try and stay with them out in front,
Okay.
whatever. We don't shoot them crossing roads or nothing.
Sure.
They got to catch it or
Yep.
tree it, but we want to stay with them.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And cats is just you might park the truck where you find the cat,
Yeah.
and that truck might not move all day.
Really?
Yep. So for one, they're harder to find, and number two, of course, you could swap that. They're the hardest thing for a dog to run because of how crafty they are.
Yeah.
So the cold trailing thing is still back to, you have dogs that can smell. And I didn't tell you this earlier. I really think personally that all dogs have nose enough to smell these cold trails,
Yeah.
but it's just what excites them enough to want to go
Sure.
and pursue it.
Okay.
So you get those dogs that a cold trail to them, smells like a fresh baked apple pie right in front of us, and
Right.
they're just, it's a lot of scent.
Yeah.
You put that pie across the room where you're just getting a hint of her now and then,
Yeah.
doesn't excite us as much, maybe.
Right.
And I think dogs, to an extent, are that way because, I have some dogs that don't really bark on a cold trail and don't cold trail, but I have sent them with the cold trailers before.
Yep.
And then pretty soon, all of a sudden, you'll hear them maybe 3 miles in start barking. That's because the scent has gotten them where now they're excited about it.
Yeah.
But I think the whole way going, they know that there's something there.
Yeah.
But really,
No, that's a perfect analogy. They can smell it across the room, but
I'm not going to get up to go look, But the cats is in snow, scent's totally different. It's really, snow holds scent longer.
Okay.
So you can turn loose on way older cat tracks, and the dogs can smell them and take them. Now temperature comes into effect in the wintertime. So if it gets really warm out, the cat moved that night and it was, let's say, 25 degrees, and then the day it gets up to 35 to 40, which is terrible.
Right.
Sometimes that scent goes away when it
Just
warms
melts.
up snow. It melts away.
Yep.
Sometimes when you get 10 below, it's a little harder.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want it to warm up and get to that 20, 25 degrees. Let the sun get out, warm that track up. The scent will rise then a little bit.
Makes sense.
But a cat, when you're running a cat, he might get into a thick cedar swamp, cattail, tag alders, and what they'll do is they'll circle. When a dog gets up on them tight and putting pressure on them, they'll circle.
Okay.
Get on a little creek bottom. But they're doing figure eights. They're going up and down their tracks. So it takes a dog with brains
To figure out whether he's coming or going.
on the what we call, back to the language, the last track or the top track.
Okay.
So if this cat is, if I'm standing there and I've seen that cat go by me 3 times
Yeah.
and the dogs are still going, okay,
Yep.
they're running the top track. But if I see the cat go by me, and what they'll do is they'll pop off their track, and then the dogs come back by me again without the cat, they're not running the cat no more.
They're still on the.
They're on
they're
the
on
old,
the old
track. And there's,
which is still fresh.
yes, but it ain't where he last went.
Right.
And it takes really good dog to figure that out. But
Yeah.
I've had a pile. And I'm not the only one. There's been a lot of guys that's had them where
Circle.
they think it's in front of them, but it ain't. And those ones, you don't cat hunt them ones no more.
No,
because
they're
when they
wasting
got
your
when they
time,
got
man.
that trait, it's hard
Yeah.
to get that out of
Yeah.
them. The cat dog just it comes natural to him.
Really?
It comes natural.
That's
and a
interesting.
cat will do anything that he can to get away. When the snow's deep, the worst, and you get a creek that's froze over,
Yeah.
but no snow on it, it's
Okay.
just ice. Well, that's a nightmare because they'll get down on that because it's easy walking for them.
Oh,
But
they'll
the dog-
stay on the ice.
Stay on the ice. I've had them cats go half a mile out ahead of you, but the dog can't smell it because of the ice.
I'll be
You
damned.
can't drive it. You can't pick up you can't make that time
So
up.
they're way smarter than a bear.
Yeah, when you got something like that, you just pull the dog because
Yeah.
you're just spinning your wheels.
I'll be damned.
And then one thing, not to get off the cats, but we didn't touch on with the bear and them dogs, is there's also what they call rig dogs.
Okay.
Rigging
Yep.
dogs.
I've heard that before.
Okay, so I have my box, and you've seen it. It's all
Yep.
custom stainless steel deal, and I have it where they can get their heads out good.
Yep.
And what happens is the ideal speed is about between 30 and 40, maybe 45.
Yep.
But I have my main dog now, Yoder. He'll and we call this striking. He'll strike first before the other ones. Now, if it's a really hot track, the other ones the whole box, it'll just shake. The whole truck will. What that is a bear has went across this road,
Okay.
or has walked up next to the road and
Paralleled
paralleled
the
it.
road. Yep.
The wind's right, okay? Those dogs will smell that bear out of the truck, right from the truck.
I'll be damned.
Now, guys will tell you, and maybe it is out there. I haven't seen it. This John that I used to hunt with, he hasn't seen it. I have another old boy that hunts with me now, Junior.
Mm-hmm.
He claims out west it is. I don't know, but cold trail rig dogs. And what that is they're saying that, like, this bear's went across this road at midnight.
Yeah.
Okay. The next morning, about daylight, we drive across there, and those dogs actually rig on that bear.
I'll be damned.
I haven't seen that. My dogs will rig one that's at least 30 minutes old.
Yeah.
And not sooner. Because when I turn them loose, they're kicking dirt in your face. That's how hot the track is. Now in Michigan, in kills, I'll do that. We'll have that happen more than in training season, especially when a lot more bears are moving around down here. But in kill season, if I go all of kill season and I have that happen twice, that's good. I mean, the areas are so big and the volume of bears in those big areas, you have to be on the right road at the right time.
It's not like roads are abundant up there.
No. But there's out west, a lot of guys hunt that way because the country's so big that when you turn loose, you want to be close to that bear.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You're
you want
talking
them
mountains and valleys.
Oh, and bad canyons.
Yeah.
So, but that's another trait that a lot of dogs can do.
Yeah.
These ones, I would say rigging is not their best trait. These line I have. That's and treeing's not their best. They won't leave, but you see some of these dogs that they just sink them old claws into that tree and they just blow the top. These ain't gonna do that, which I'm fine with. They just sit there and they
bark.
I know where it's at. So, but they do rig, but there's better rig dogs. But that's another trait that dogs will do too on bears.
Rigging's just barking.
Rigging's just there's something here.
Yeah.
And sometimes bears ain't the only thing they'll rig, but that comes in like this collar game.
Right.
It's made it to where, if I've got mine now when they bark like that, and I can tell
if it's legit or not.
Yep, and I can tell how hot it is too.
Yeah.
Is when they blow up. I don't. If it's a paved road, I don't need to see a track. I turn them loose.
You just know.
I just know.
I'll be damned.
But it takes you 3 years to get one really that's doing it where you can trust him like that.
Yeah.
And then
not
you
just
got
barking
him
because he's happy.
And then you got him and even cold trailing, like trusting the dog. And then you got him for 3 years, and now he's these dogs when they get 8, 9 years old, that's when they start going. That's the back half of their career.
Sure. Yeah.
And these dogs are just like them huskies. I mean, they born to do this. They love to do this. I got 2 kids, and they can go out there and they'll roll around like yours were with me earlier today.
It's a family pet, but it's also
lick them to death.
They're a tool. They're a tool.
They are a tool.
Yeah.
But people been hunting with dogs since man turned the wolf into one. That's where they come from. You know.
Yeah. What do you say to people that are like, "Oh, that's terrible. You shouldn't hurt that poor bear. Or you're putting your dogs in harm's way."
Well,
what do you say to people like that?
All you can do is invite them to go on a hunt.
Yeah.
Just to take them and see how it is. You can see that these dogs are maintained. They're athletes.
Yeah.
They are athletes. I have a vet that I use that they get checked out before kill season comes or before training season.
Yeah.
They really take care of them. But I give them comforts too. Like my box is set up with a fan in it. So when it's hot out, I'm blowing air to them.
Yep.
So I show the people they're not in a hot box, but they're born to do that. And when it comes to hurting the poor bear and stuff like that, we don't go out and kill everything to extinct it, but in order for something to live, something has to die.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it's been since.
If we didn't hunt bears,
they'd
be overrun.
Yep.
They'd be in your backyard eating your little
and
chihuahua.
I think, not to get off on another state, but I look at California that is taking away dog hunting with bears. Well, now what happens is bear buying every bush out there now. Now what they do is the state actually hires
trained killers,
pays these guys to come in and run and kill the bears. Where before the state was making money off it. Yeah. Now we're paying it. So, but there's always the antis that are after it because of the dogs that have come in the equation.
It's inhumane.
So,
nobody takes care of your dogs better than you do.
Nobody. I mean, they're family. Yeah, they're family.
Yeah.
100% family.
I mean, there is a risk obviously involved.
100%.
So I mean,
every time you snap them loose, you just never know. But you try to put them in the right situations.
Well, and just like you said, you're training your dogs to not be that dog
not
that's
be
aggressive.
Yep. Because it just doesn't pay.
And if you get a dog like that, well, he's just not
And
He's
I
not a
don't-
part of your
he
equation
doesn't.
at that point.
He goes. Somebody else is.
He
Gonna,
becomes somebody's family dog.
somebody else has
Yeah.
him because it does me no good to
Yeah.
have him. The first bear we come to, now we're in the vet for 3 weeks.
Yeah,
You know, it
yeah.
does no
There
good.
goes-
and
there-
we don't breed those dogs
Yeah.
because that's not what we're
No,
looking
that
for.
makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. What do you like hunting better? Bears or cats?
I enjoy cat hunting the best.
Yeah.
Only
Just because
reason,
it's a chess match.
well, it's a hell of a lot harder.
Yeah.
And I like the
You want that
challenge of it
challenge.
because when you do get one, I mean, you've done something really.
Right.
And I took a guy last winter. He's a Green Beret. He come the year before and got a bear with me, and it was, I mean, the first day we got him a bear, it was just what you look for, easy hunt, I call it. And then he comes cat hunting, and we're like 4 days into it.
Yeah.
We finally, snow got right. We catch this cat down on a little creek bottom under a blowdown. And I mean, we're talking, knee-deep snow. You got to have your shoes on, snowshoes.
Yeah.
He gets in there, we get everything done. He's like, this ain't nothing like bear hunting. And I'm thinking, bud, you're a Green Beret, man. So the snow is the biggest thing and where the cats go.
Yeah.
I mean, you think of, I've been in a lot of swamps I've called lady swamps when I got done because they were fit for no man to
Yeah.
be in there. And I've been in some cedar swamps in the middle of a snowstorm after a cat thinking,
Yeah.
I wish I was anywhere but here right now because I'm a long ways from the truck.
Yeah, because, I mean, you get them where you get them.
You get them where you get them. And again, everything comes into play on the condition of the snow. If you got a little bit of crust and
Yeah.
the cat's only sinking in a couple inches in the snow, but
Yeah.
the dogs are sinking to their armpits,
Right.
you might as well stay home and watch TV because
Yeah,
you're
it's
not
not
going to
gonna
catch
be-
that
it's not
cat.
gonna catch a
He's
cat.
going to take you wherever he wants to
Yeah.
go. You're going to
You're just burning
you're
up energy.
You're just
Gas
you're
and
wasting
energy.
your time.
Yeah.
Wasting your time.
I'll
But
be
cats,
damned.
I enjoy because it takes better dogs to catch cats.
Yeah.
Just the dog work is just
Yeah.
fun
What's
to watch.
a big cat?
So an average is 25-ish pounds.
Okay.
But a big cat is in Michigan is 30 and above.
Yeah. That's a
big-
big Tom.
That's a big Tom.
Yeah.
You'll get some 30-pound females, but rarely.
Yeah.
Rarely. And I try to, and you can tell by their, just like a bear we didn't talk about, but you can tell by a bear's track. Mm-hmm. Bigger toes, wider pad. I mean, that's a boar.
Yeah.
Just like with cats. If his toes are a little bit bigger and blockier track, it's a Tom, not a female.
Yeah.
But we try to stay close to that 30 and above.
Yeah. Do you treat the cats kind of like the bears? Like, if it's not quite up to your standard, or
the one thing with the cats is it's all off tracks. So where there's no baits, there's no cameras.
Okay.
So we determine
whether you
before
got a
we
big
even-
one.
before we even collar a dog
Okay.
up if we're going to turn loose
Yeah,
on it.
that makes sense. Yeah, because
You know?
you're right. There is no baits or anything.
But once you get to a certain size, I mean, that 36, 37-pound cat is going to have the same track as a 45.
Yeah,
And I've killed a 45.
Yeah.
That's a big cat.
that's huge.
It's a monster cat. They don't get, I mean, that's a 200-inch whitetail
Yeah.
in the whitetail
Now,
world.
will that big a cat, will they be
Oh.
aggressive with the dogs?
Oh, yeah. But,
Yeah.
I mean, a big cat like that, if he wants to, and I mean, I don't even know if I should say it because I don't know the study, but I do know because I've found where they've killed a deer. But if he wants to, he can kill one a week.
That's crazy.
Oh, I mean, big deer, too.
Yeah.
A 45-pound cat, he gets on
Yeah,
you.
I mean, that's
I'm gonna tell
big.
you got an issue.
Yeah.
Because it just, I mean, they're strong.
I couldn't imagine a 45-pound
Oh, it's-
just razor blades
I mean,
and teeth.
I've got dogs that I hunt them with that are 30 pounds.
true.
And now you got a 45-pound cat. But same thing with that,
Right.
as you're saying, they're baying the cat, but because it's smaller and they will get
Yeah.
a little more after. But guys don't want to walk in to a cat that the dogs have killed.
Yeah.
So I also have them, when you do that trait with them on bears in a young age
Yeah.
and trying to keep them back, they'll do the same with a cat, get a little respect.
Sure.
But it does happen.
Yeah.
So the fortunate thing with cats is that you can buy that tag over the counter.
Right.
So I get a tag every year for something like that.
Yeah.
If you do get in there and it is, but that also comes with turning loose on, you never turn loose on a little cat
Right.
and end up with a big cat. It's always the other way around.
Right.
The pot lickers. But, I've had them switch cats before.
Okay.
But the smaller the cat, the more likely that happens. But you get that 30 and above, they can hold their own.
Yeah.
So they'll get the respect of the dogs
Sure.
real quick.
Huh. I'll be damned. What, oh shit, I had it right in the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember what it was now. It had to do with the cats. Oh shit, I can't remember now. Terrible. How many people do you take a year?
So for cats, I try to keep it like 8 to 10, and that's pushing it.
Yeah.
Probably 6 is better, just because you got 2 months, but you're at the mercy of the conditions of the weather. In the last 5 winters, we ain't even had a winter in January.
Yeah.
I mean, so now you're sitting with your thumbs, and now
Yeah.
But for bears, ideally, I like to do like I always like to do 12.
Okay.
But 15, I've done as many as 17.
Yeah. And that's over how many weeks?
So
Is that 2 weeks?
no,
3 weeks?
I do
is it a month?
Well, if you start on the September 11th and go to October 26th,
Oh,
and I've
okay.
killed them all the way to the end of the season. But
Yeah.
this isn't my full-time gig,
No.
so I, as you know, but I set off 3 weeks straight.
Yeah.
I try to do the bulk of them in that 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And have so then that'll leave me with typically 2 to 3 weekends before it closes. One of those has got to be a cleanup weekend.
Yeah.
For in case something happens in the beginning where you have to bring
you
a
gotta
guy
factor
back.
that in.
So when I say that there's a little bit of pressure on in those 3 weeks to make things click,
Yeah.
there's a little bit of pressure
It's
on
gotta be
because I
smooth.
mean,
You got to trust you and trust your dogs and,
and
trust your hunters.
What I'll do at the beginning is I always like to have some guys that are on call. So it's a 3-day hunt. We might kill this guy out on the first day, but if I know this guy might be retired or had the week off anyways, I'll call him. I'll have him for the next day.
Can you be up here?
Yep, I need you here by morning.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky that I have guys that can do that over the years. I've always been able to do that. But we try that first week to try and kill 3 to 4.
Okay.
And then give them dogs a day off.
Okay.
And then I've won as many as 6 in 6 days and killed 6 bears.
Wow.
That's if the hunts ain't bad or hard. What I say is like the bear just ran and treed, and it may have been we may have started at 8 and done by 11. That's not a hard hunt. You got plenty of time to get back to camp. Let the dogs rest up for the next day. But if you get on them ones that, especially a bay up, dogs are going to exert a lot more energy. It may be harder on them in general.
Right.
Then you got to they're going to need, you can go 3 or 4 of them hard. You might go 3 of them hard ones in a row.
Yeah.
They got to need a day at least.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to book the guys too, where I have a day to 2 days, no more than 2 days I want in a row.
Yeah.
But sometimes it works. Sometimes it just has to be that way,
Yeah. Are you finding that you're seeing maybe more women?
So I have a gal that is booked for this year.
Okay.
And this is her 3rd year in a row with me.
Really?
She killed a dandy bear last year. We can get into that story later, but it was on the ground. It was a wild hunt. But yes and no. I've had a lot. Last year I took the first four people I took were all under 16.
Oh, really?
Yep.
All like first-time bear hunters.
All first-time bear hunters. Cool. One was non-resident, but none of those were are women. But it's probably been since I've took a younger gal, in her teens, I want to call it, early 20s. The dad,
Yep.
It's been like 3 years ago. I took one, and she actually, one of the girls killed hers treed, and the other one on the ground did a fantastic job. First time she'd ever. And I'll tell you this: when it's on the ground like that, women are better.
That's what I was going to ask you. Was the
women
next
are
question.
better,
like
because they listen to everything you say, and they're way more focused.
Yeah.
Guy's gonna roll in there.
Sure.
Old Davy Crockett, like he's
puffing up my chest.
I've done it. I've done this before. No, because what happens is on those bay ups is we'll get in there and I'll be like, we try to get on behind the dogs so that we're shooting, they're not on the other side and the bear's looking at us.
Right.
And on those you want a headshot because as soon as you shoot, those dogs are going to pile the bear.
Are they?
Because
Okay.
over the years, it's association with every,
Yep.
if it's treed. Oh, they shot. Here comes
Yeah.
comes our
Here
treat.
comes our treat.
Yep. This is what we
Here's the reward.
all summer for.
Yeah.
So it has to be a headshot. And they just way more focused. So when I tell you, like, shoot, you have to shoot then, not 30 seconds later, because I've seen the window of opportunity where you need to shoot. So the women are way better on that.
So
way better.
When you get a hunter up there, you get him in position, and you're pretty much like, okay, and when I tell you, you better be on it.
So what happens is when they call, is most guys will start calling, because you can apply month of May. So that's when a lot of guys will call. I don't book anybody until they have called me back and pulled the tag.
Yeah.
So then is when we go over somewhat like what to expect.
Yeah.
And I'll even tell them, like, you should YouTube some videos and just see.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a ton of them out there.
Yeah.
And then when they come for the hunt, I try to get them there like the night before.
Yeah.
We'll usually meet up for dinner or something, or they'll come to camp, and we'll go over it again. Like, this is what we are expecting to happen, but this is what could happen on the ground. And even during the hunt all day or all morning, I'll just be beating it like a dead horse. Like, this is what's going to happen.
Expectation.
Yep. And this is, you got to listen to me. And this, if you're not comfortable, if you think for a second that there's a dog in the way, don't do it. Just give it time. It'll, we'll clear out.
I will get my dog's position.
Well, we'll get him moved around or something.
Yeah.
But that's because what happens is these guys come, and they're all good guys for the most part, but you'll get guys, first timers, or guys that just walked out of Cabela's that have already got the bear on the wall. You know what I mean?
They know their taxidermist.
They've already got
the
story. They've already got the story ready.
Yeah.
So when they get into this bay up, they only see one thing. They see the bear.
Yeah.
They don't see the dogs.
Yeah.
The dogs are nothing to them. They see the bear. So you have to just keep as the outfitter, the guide,
focused here, buddy.
And you have to somewhat have a calm. You got to be calm and collective with them too.
Yeah, I gotta believe. Because if you're getting wound up,
if you're wound up, they're going
to
to feed off you.
Yeah.
Now, I will give them a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
Like, this needs to happen now. Like, you gotta. It brings me to story. I had this one guy. We get in and we can see the bear, and he's bayed up.
Yeah.
He's in like a blowdown. And this guy he'd killed a bear with me before. And he gets down on one knee and he's like, you just got to give me a minute. Like, he's huffing.
He's out of shape.
Says, that's all you got. Okay, we ain't got time,
figure it out.
So you gotta lock her in. But so and those are the hunts that are fun that you remember, little things like that, And his very first hunt, he killed like 4 in a row that were bayed up, the poor guy. The very first one he killed was bayed up. And he'd never seen nothing like. I mean, his boy from Bay City.
Yeah.
He'd never seen nothing like this. Didn't even know it existed. He did an awesome job. Shoots the bear, kills it. I go up, make sure you get the dogs back, and I turned around to like get fired up with him.
Yeah.
And this guy is laying on his back in the swamp. Just white as a ghost.
About ready to pass out.
Oh, I thought he was gonna have the big one. He pops up, and I go, John, are you all right? He goes, yeah, I'm all right. He says, I'm telling you right now, the blood's all went from my head to you know where. And he said, I've never seen nothing like this before. I mean, and he was hooked. But that's all it took. That guy never been before. I took him 8 years in a row.
That's incredible.
And he was just hooked with it. Couldn't get enough.
Yeah.
But back to the women, definitely. And this particular gal, Rachel, she goes her and her husband kill stuff everywhere. And I think I've told you about them. Be really good interest to talk to them. But, the very first one she killed with her bow out of a tree.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay. She's avid archery. But you don't, usually like 1 a year you might get that. But I get a lot of younger, which is good to see. Yeah. Like I said, a lot of younger kids that want to go.
That's awesome.
There is also like, I've taken guys in their 70s and stuff. Yeah. And anybody listening that's interested, try to go before you get that late. Yeah. Not that bear hunting is definitely not as hard as cat hunting because of the snow factor, but like on the bay ups or something, you have to be able to get there. Yeah. And sometimes you got to huffer.
Yeah, because you've had some guys where
listen, it's just this ain't gonna work. This is
like
not gonna work.
Guys 100 yards back
Oh,
there.
but
catch up.
yeah, and you're trying to stay calm with them, but again, the sense of urgency comes in where.
Yeah.
And then once you get there, though, you just keep talking. And if it's treed, like we have a mutual friend, Zubek, Mike.
Yep.
He killed his first bear last year, and it was the first. I kind of tricked him because he came up thinking that I had a hunter and he was going to be able to see it all happen,
Sure,
and then
sure.
we hunt him the next day. Well, the day he was coming up, we killed that
got
guy
that
a bear.
guy's bear. Yeah.
So the next day he was up, and that right out of the gate put him into a
Stressed him out.
frantic, So, and we treat this bear. I can tell, and the guys that hunt with me can tell, just when you get in there by looking at the bear, like what he's doing and if he's going to stay or not. It also depends on what kind of tree they're in. If they're in a big old pine that they feel comfortable in and got good limb, they're not going to go nowhere. But if you get them in a little one and it's a lot of moving, they get nervous, they're more apt to come down.
Yeah.
And dogs are not. They will come down and take off. So this one I could tell, he's not going anywhere, And Mike is just, he's locked. And I'm like, listen, we'll get the dogs tied back. Just take your time. Put that gun down, as a matter of fact. He goes, you want me to put the gun down? I go, yeah, he's not going nowhere. And guess what? If he is, it was actually in a good spot where we was close to the road. So I'm like, I don't want him to come down because he's only going to go into more of a hellhole.
Yeah.
But it's just like that kind of stuff is fun to see when guys have never seen it before. And he's hooked now too.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. He's already like, I want to go again. I want to go again, which is great. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
Do you ever have to put a finishing shot on an animal?
So
is that legal?
No, not in this
That's
state.
what I thought.
So
that's what
you can like I've drawn a tag this year myself. Okay. You'd have to get. It's probably kind of blackish and gray.
I was just going to say, is there a gray area there?
They say the guy who put the killing shot on it,
okay,
that's whose bear it is.
Okay.
This is what I've been told. So let's say I have a tag and you have a tag.
Yep.
And you've shot the bear.
Yep.
And this isn't in stone, but if you shot the bear and it's still going and I shoot it and I'm the one that kills it, then I think technically, from what I've been told, that's mine.
You're the finishing shot, so it's your bear.
But what we call them backup shooters, guys that have tags like that, Michigan is one of the few states that doesn't allow that.
Okay.
Now, Wisconsin, our brothering state, allows that. We can get a whole thing about that. I really think they should for a safety, especially if you're an outfitter and a guide.
That's what I was wondering. Is there a gray area where it's like, well, hold on a minute. Like, is there an area where it's like, I felt threatened or my animals felt threatened, so I shot?
The gray area is,
I suppose it depends on the conservation officer that you're dealing with.
And you can, but because we've pursued this bear, we have our dogs there because he comes down and is chewing on one. We're the one that put the bear in that position. Does it give us a right to do? Now, it's one thing if he comes in our yard and does it that way. So, I really don't know that, but I do know we cannot legally have what you call backup shooter, where
that's what I thought.
That guy shoots the bear, this guy shoots the bear, but he tags it. That's a no-go. Right. That's why, we go back to the gun thing. It's nice to have the guns. Now, everybody's, like I always carry, if I don't have a tag, we try to have somebody in our group that hunts with us that has a tag for that kind of stuff.
Just in case.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it's at some
safety.
Point
it's gonna
comes
happen.
down to safety.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Shit.
For sure.
That's crazy, dude. Like we've been talking almost 2 hours.
Well, when you get going on something good, You
got a good story?
So, I'll tell you the Rachel story. Okay. I've got a lot of good ones, but I will tell you two. The one is more of like just a cat and mouse game, but the big bear I talked about, the 525 Mike Strope killed. So this particular bait wasn't getting hit, and I'd killed a monster bear off of it the year before, like 440, and it wasn't getting hit all kill season. So after like the first week, I didn't even check it no more. I was just wasting our time going there. Ain't nothing nothing coming there. So we killed a bear one day, and it was, I think we had been up there our stent for of taking hunters, and we killed a bear that day. I think we were leaving the next day to go back down here. So I'm like, I'm driving by it, I'll check it, and I'll be darned if that night or that night before, this big joker was in there.
Yeah.
That's the first time he'd came there. I'm like, holy, we got to get bait in here.
Right.
Well, we were going to be gone a whole week.
Right.
So we baited it up, and I know a lot of people up there, so I had another guy baiting it during the week. That bear, and only that bear, came to that bait every single morning. I mean, he was in there. He wouldn't even come till like 4:35, and he'd stay for 45 minutes. I mean, that's perfect.
It was his bait.
Yeah. So we get there the following Friday. We bait it Friday night. Got to hunt her for the next morning, and his daughter actually had killed one. That's who had killed one the week before.
Yeah.
But anyways, it rained all night. We get in there at 5:30, and it's still raining. But he had left at like 5. So we're talking half an hour track. Now, the whole thing of it is that still is it's kind of a toss-up, because you can try and get to him, but if he hears those dogs and you don't jump him, he ain't gonna come back. He didn't get that big by being dumb.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I was like, man, do I turn loose and we maybe jump him?
Yep.
But if we, I don't want him to hear him and not get to him. But if we don't turn loose, is he going to come back tomorrow?
Right.
So I said, you know what? I'm going for it.
Yeah.
We turn loose. I said, if they have a hiccup or something, I'll go run in and get them. Well, they went like 300 yards, and they made a loss, and they were just moseying around looking for it. Well, that was enough for me. So I took off running in there, grabbed them, and got out. We baited it back up. So we go in the next morning, boom, he's back in. Now he stayed till like 5:30. Well, we turned loose, and he actually come back out towards this railroad grade, walked down this road.
Yep.
And I have one that's pretty good on a road like that, like he's extremely well. Well, he trails it down this dirt road. He only goes down about 100 yards and found where it went off. We only had 3 dogs on. I turned another one with them. And where he was bedded up, that's where we killed him. Like the dogs went to him, bait up, walked him in there, and
he just sat right
down. Just sat right there. Well, it was only 3 of us, my hunting partner and the hunter. Well, just so happens to be this guy tells me that he had hernia surgery 2 weeks ago. Wasn't that convenient? Well, I mean, this bear was
525 pound.
This bear was big enough. I'm like, man, I want to, because typically we'll skin them out.
Yeah.
And we quarter them out and pack them out.
Before, when you come out.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, we didn't talk about, we pack them all out.
Yeah.
Unless we can see the truck. I mean,
right.
It's way easier to skin them buggers out.
Yeah.
So anyways, we weren't doing that. We wanted to get a weight. Well, we were like 250 from the truck. We got pretty close. Listen, we just lean into it and fall over, and you'd get him about 3 feet.
I'm assuming he's not like in a field. He's in
he's in a swamp. He's in a crap hole. And them bear hide, I don't know what it is, but it's like Velcro on that freaking ground.
Just grabs everything.
We done that for hours, it seemed like.
Just
and
and one guy.
Me and one guy.
Yeah.
And we didn't feel like we was going anywhere. We got close enough. We drove the trucks through the woods.
Yeah.
Got down within like 100 of him.
Yeah.
And we put every strap, cable we had together.
Stringed them all together.
Reached him and kept pulling the truck back and rehooking. Well, then we actually get him to the truck.
Right.
Well, now what are we going to do? There's
525 pounds dead weight. Feels like 1,000 pounds.
And that wasn't dressed. We wanted to get a live weight.
Right.
So we hook one strap over a tree into one of the trucks, pull the bear up,
pick
and then
him up in the air and
back
tie it
the
off.
other truck underneath it. And that's how we loaded him up. But that was a giant bear. I mean, that just but like that right there, I have no idea where that bear came from. He was not just there random. All year, and all of a sudden just shows up.
That's crazy.
And then Rachel's bear last year, and one thing I didn't talk about on this is the second or third bear. Like, typically they have brown on their muzzle right here. That's jet black. And most of those are the worst bears to be on. Like, anytime I've ever had dogs that had to go to the vet and get fixed up.
Really?
Bad. It's from dark-faced bears. I don't know what it is.
That's
But
weird.
it's held true. So, and we didn't know this at the time, you know. I mean,
Right.
we knew he's a nice bear. He ended up being over 400.
Nice.
Well, we turned loose. He's in a terrible place, Lady Swamp. You just cannot get into him. No roads, you know.
Yeah.
So we walked into him the first time when he was bayed up. And as soon as he seen us, he broke. And I told her right then, I said, this is going to be all day. Because he's been hunted before. He knows the program.
Yeah.
We got into him one other time, and he done the same thing. Well, I had a couple dogs that kind of they had to go to the vet from him. So we get them out of the woods and have a guy run them to the vet.
Yeah.
We still got dogs on him. At this point, this has gone on. And we started him at 8. We're talking 2 in the afternoon now.
Damn.
And we're still on him. We did not kill that bear until it must have been, it was about a half an hour before it got dark, because when we finished skinning him out, we walked out in the dark. But the only thing that saved us is there was kind of a tree that fell over and it growed up, and it was just like a den, but it wasn't. But there was one way in and out. But that's what would happen. We get close to him and he just go, because we had done, we couldn't. You can't surround them with people.
Right.
So we get in there and we just so happened to get lucky, and just me and her went in.
Yeah.
I left everybody else like 100 yards back, and we slipped right in there, and we luckily come into him on the way that hole was. We didn't come into him from the back. We come straight on to him. So the only way he had to come was at us.
Right at you.
And to come out.
Right.
And he did, and when he poked his head out, she drilled him. It was a monster bear, but you talk about all day hunt.
Was that probably one of your longer ones that you'd never
That
gone
is a
on?
long one.
Yeah.
I mean, that takes about. I mean, I've had him go till like that 4, but it's like that's only when you're baying one up does it do it, and walking.
Yeah.
Sometimes they won't just stay in one spot. They'll walk and then they'll do it again. And,
Yeah. Damn. That's awesome, dude. Like, you've totally enlightened me and kind of got me jazzed up.
It's,
Because, like, I've
It's
only went the one time with you, and that was in the summer training.
Yeah, that
And it
wasn't
was-
even when the good gets going.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh, man, I got to try this.
Well, we'll have to get you back up this fall.
Yeah, and then after, talking with my buddy Pat last week, he's like, as soon as we got done, he's like, you're going.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that I listened to that, and that Saskatchewan. I mean, the bears up there that never seen people. It'd be awesome to see just how they react. I mean, they don't even no worry in the world.
Yeah,
a lot of bears up there.
Yeah. So
That's cool.
How can somebody get in touch with you if they wanted to?
So we do have. I'm on the DNR website for their guide deal.
Okay.
We play guide service. There's a Facebook page and there's a website.
Okay.
And my number's on there, and they can just Google
and I can
it
share.
and-
I can share your number in the show notes too. So
perfect. So
I think, and if you aren't interested, but I think it would be super cool to, like, when you're on your hunt, to call in.
oh yeah,
And
That would be sweet.
because
Yeah.
I can set that up to
Yeah.
where if you've got service and like let's talk a little breakdown of today's hunt,
Yep.
during the hunt,
Yeah.
that way it'd be kind of cool. I think people would be interested in just
I do too.
listening to
I
like
do
the
too.
day to day.
And we talked before the podcast. Guy that you had in here from Mid that does the program at Mid for. And I wish something like that would have been around when I was. I mean,
You and me both.
yeah. What a great, and I really want to get involved with that and do something with that.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool if we can do something like that. But definitely calling in.
I think it would be super cool to get like
I
a
do
like
too.
like
I do too.
almost a semi live like this is what's going on
Yep.
story of the day
and 100%, and just give them, a look at what it really is like to guide in Michigan, because we talked earlier, and this is a tough state to actually make a living doing
Yeah.
it. You
Yeah.
gotta, you gotta
ain't
have your
getting
hand
rich.
in everything, and even then, it's not. It's just if it's something you want to do, then you're happy doing it, do it. But
Right.
it's you're
I don't think you're getting rich.
you're
I don't
not
think
getting
we're all
rich.
turning into a Jim Shockey over
We're
this
not.
stuff.
We're not. But QU, I will take a little kickback if you're listening in.
Yeah, I mean, some guide gear would be
I
nice.
mean, why
somewhere.
not,
Sure, yeah, you got to throw that out there. Maybe in some Sitka. That's good stuff too. So, well, cool,
sure.
man. I like this is super cool. Like
this is a
I
lot of
really
fun, man. I
enjoyed this
appreciate
one,
it.
dude. I really enjoyed this one, and I would love to definitely do this again. And like I said, maybe come season get with you. And
Yeah, for sure.
we can do it. So, all right, guys. Well, I appreciate y'all taking the time to listen in. This was a long one, but I think it was well worth it. It was some great info, and for anybody that had any questions about, I think we laid it out pretty damn good.
Yep,
Start
and
to
there's
finish on
a
how
lot
it is.
that we didn't even get to.
No,
That's
and
the
I'm
cool
sure,
thing.
yeah, that's something that we can even revisit for sure. Because me personally, I love the stories, dude.
Yeah.
I love the stories, and it'd be cool to get with Johnny Ray.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's got stories that
Oh,
both of
yeah.
us would love to
Yep.
hear. So, but anyway, guys, I appreciate y'all listening in, and we will catch you on the next episode. This is the Mic'd Up Outdoor Podcast. Take care, everybody. Thanks.